Good morning and welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys joining us this morning. If you're watching us live on Facebook, thank you for that. And if you are checking us out on our website, we do upload these shows to www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. And we appreciate you checking us out there as well. We do have audio and video versions for you to check out. Unfortunately, we do not get to celebrate Phase 3 today. We'll talk about that in just a second. Going to get into your traffic first real quick. Actually flowing today. It's a very beautiful morning. Looks like traffic is sort of representative of that. Some minor delays at 4-H Club Road, River Road, and 190. Not too bad. I-12 is flowing, looking at some delays on those on-ramps, but nothing crazy. And some minor delays at Jubin and 190, as well as 190 and Range Avenue. But thankfully, a nice and clear morning. Of course, as we're talking about, it's a very beautiful morning, blue skies. It's currently 75 degrees. Unfortunately, this nice weather is only going to hang around for so long. It's going to get up to 89 degrees today, 72 your overnight low, and you're looking at heavy thunderstorms for the majority of the day. So getting past this 8 o'clock hour, getting closer to 9, the percentage goes up about 10% per hour up to 1 p.m., wherein it's going to be a 70% chance of rain. So you're looking at about 40% at 9, between 8 and 9, 50% between 9 and 10, so on and so forth. Again, about 70% chance of rain between the 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. hour, and it's supposed to rain the rest of the day. So please be prepared for that. Don't get fooled by the beautiful morning. Please bring an umbrella or a poncho if you're heading to work. You will need it after the workday to head home. Getting into your coronavirus statistics real quick. I know that we haven't done this in a while. We've had quite a few shows where we got to talk about something else. Today is not that way. So if you don't want to hear about the coronavirus, I suggest you check out now because we have quite a bit to talk about from the governor's press conference as well as a few other things from yesterday. So getting into it, 50,239 cases, 3,004 deaths, 39,792 recoveries. 618,000 tests have been performed on with 630 hospitalizations on 77 ventilators. Getting into those mitigation efforts real quick. Wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds or more. Disinfect common surfaces at home and at your office. Wear a mask in public if at all possible. Don't touch your face. My favorite one, the one I struggle with so much. Control sneezing and coughing with an elbow or a tissue. 6 feet or more of distance between yourself and others. 25 or less to a gathering. Stay home to work if at all possible. And stay home if you're sick. Utilize telehealth to get in touch with your doctor. Getting into it from yesterday, Governor John Bel Edwards said that we will remain as a state in phase 2, and this will last 28 days, not just 14. They will look at the data after 14 days, perhaps an early opening, not entirely sure at this point. However, beginning Friday, we will enter a new 28-day period for, phase 2, which of course remains at 50% capacity for those places that were open during phase 1 and 25% of capacity for those that stayed closed during phase 1. So phase 1 that was open at 25% were things like restaurants, salons, nail places, that sort of thing. Those have moved to 50%. They will remain at 50% for another month. Or 28 days, 4 weeks. When you're looking at those tattoo parlors, spas, gyms, that sort of thing, they will remain at the 25% mark. So please keep that in mind. Of course, one of the things that the governor said is the state is not moving in the right direction. They track 3 data points over, I guess you call it 10 areas, one including the state, the other 9 are statewide. The other 9 are Louisiana Department of Health regions. And in those regions, 14 have seen increases in the 3 big statistics that the state's following. 11 are plateaued, and only 5 are decreasing. So that's not the appropriate direction that the state's looking for to move into a new phase. So again, those 3 statistics are COVID-like illness, cases, and hospitalizations. Now, people ask about the COVID-like illness. What does that mean? That means people presenting with symptoms that might look like COVID, but they might get a bad test, so it doesn't pop up positive, things of that nature. So, again, in 14 areas of the state, that is on the increase, and in 11 areas of the state, that is plateauing. So, we're kind of not moving in the right direction is the way the governor put it. So please remember those mitigation efforts. Please remember trying to keep this going in the right direction. Of course, a lot of these increases sort of sync up with Memorial Day, which was just about 3 weeks ago. A lot of these increases started about a week ago. The governor cited the date of June 13th as a day when hospitalizations and cases started to go back up in Louisiana. One of the things the governor said yesterday that sort of syncs up with studies that had been done in April and May, but there was a little time frame or time lag trying to see if they were going to be correct or not. But what the statement he made yesterday, and I guess made it with a pretty serious candor, is it's pretty clear that summer is not going to cause COVID to go away. This has become true throughout the Southeast. Cases are increasing in every state in the Southeast, including the two most populous. Florida has 21.5 million people, which is roughly 4 times the population of Louisiana. Georgia has 10 million people, twice the population. Georgia's looking at 64,000 cases. Florida's looking at 100,000. And of course, both of these places have seen 1,000+ spikes, especially the last 3 days of last week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So, this thing's still moving around. Now, talking about those studies, one of the things that they said was that the coronavirus has a fatty cellular structure that can be degraded by heat and humidity, specifically humidity. Increases in heat did not pull down the degradation time of the fatty cell very quickly. However, humidity did. There were a lot of people that were banking on getting a hot and humid summer would knock this thing out. We wouldn't see it anymore. Unfortunately, that hasn't been the case. And that lines up with some of the studies that were done in April and May. The reason there was a lag is because we did have a relatively long spring, especially here in Louisiana. A lot of you know it was quite beautiful there in April and early May. It wasn't too hot. It was very nice outside, kind of low humidity. So we weren't quite sure how this was going to work, at least here in Louisiana. But the problem is that in a lot of hotter places, including places like Iran and Saudi Arabia and North Africa, there were a lot of COVID-19 cases. So they weren't entirely sure if the summertime heat would knock it out. Well, as it turns out, it won't. And the study showed that by showing that a combination of high heat as well as humidity reduces the amount of time that COVID-19 remains active down to about 15 minutes. Unfortunately, that still means that person-to-person transmission is still very much in play, which is the main source of transmission according to the CDC, which is why they recommend you wear the masks. So, of course, this is not, they did say that it would reduce, those studies did say, especially through MIT, by the way, I should probably cite who did them, said that it would reduce the transmission rate, but it would not eradicate it. So this is still very much transferable during the summer. Of course, it will get hotter, especially as we get towards August, so maybe it will slow down more. But so far, through June, we are seeing just cases going back on the rise, and especially in some of these places where it is hotter, like South Florida, or at least even more humid, it's still spreading. So please remember that the summertime is not going to eradicate COVID or make it go away. It is here for the time being. Of course, a lot of people were asking, well, the governor's not a scientist. What makes him say this? Well, there is anecdotal evidence, and there are also studies that showed that it wasn't going to get eradicated completely, that it would still be around, and that we are still going to have to deal with it. However, there is good news there in that it reduces the amount of time that it can linger in surfaces, and it also reduces the transmission rate. Of course, if you wear a mask, that does help. According to the CDC, it reduces that percent chance that you can give it to someone else and that they can give it to you. So it's always good to consider wearing that mask in public. Interesting statistic, and you may have heard of the story coming out last week of the LSU football players who tested positive for coronavirus. A lot of them were spending time at Tigerland near LSU and had come up. There was a huge spike in cases, especially in young adults who had come away from that bar area during that time. Well, as it turns out, young adults, that would be 18 to 29, now make up the largest amount of caseload for new COVID cases here in Louisiana. 8,456 over the past month, to be exact, and that are currently active, 16% of the total. However, they only make up 10, not 10%, just 10 of those 3,004 total COVID deaths. So there, one of the things that Dr. Alex Bu from the Louisiana Department of Health, as well as the governor, threw my pen. Now the pen's gone. One of the things that both Dr. Alex Bu from the Louisiana Department of Health, as well as the governor said yesterday, was that the concerning thing about this is it's very clear the stay-at-home order ended, and there's kind of two parts here. One, they're concerned about some of these folks that may have had to go back to work at restaurants or service industry because they're in that age range. There's also concern that some people just were ready to get out and they were ready to go back and do their thing. Either way, you're seeing a spike in cases in that age group. Now, you don't see the deaths. However, we're not entirely sure what sort of long-term health implications this has yet. It's still very new. However, they are bringing it back into the house. They could be bringing it to their parents, their grandparents. So there's a lot of exposure there, especially with highly mobile younger people. So they told, they're asking young people to please be careful. Please try to, especially those who are working in restaurants, they're hoping that the restaurants are monitoring symptoms, temperatures, that sort of thing. Trying to remind folks, please remember that this thing can spread. And just because it can't kill you, you don't know who in your general vicinity it could affect in a very negative way. So please remember, young adults 18 to 29 currently making up 8,456 of the current active cases, are total cases, 16% of the total, 10 of the COVID-like deaths. So they don't make up a whole lot of deaths. They tend to be a lot more bold. Kind of worried about, where they might be working, or if they're just trying to get out because they're tired of being in the house. And it's starting to spread, especially among that age group. The next two are 50 to 59, which is 8,312, and 30 to 39. There I am touching my face. 30 to 39, 8,170. So please keep that in mind. On Friday, Sheriff Jason Ard was sworn in for his third term. He was also sworn in as sheriff. He was also sworn in as the president of the Louisiana Sheriff's Association. It was a red letter day for the sheriff. Lane Hardy sang the national anthem to open up the proceedings. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Lane Hardy then on Sunday announced, I have coronavirus. It was kind of a life comes at you fast kind of moment. Now, both the sheriff and Senator Bill Cassidy, who was in attendance, have said, well, we stayed far enough away from Lane. There's no concern as of right now. The ceremony, there was no masks worn. Lane did, of course, sing into the microphone that was then used by several other people, including the sheriff himself, 21st Judicial District Judge Beth Wolf, as well as District Attorney Scott Perilou. No one in the audience was wearing masks except for a few sheriff's employees. However, Revival Temple in Walker was only about 50% full, and they did take temperatures at the door. So there were precautions taken, but we'll be waiting to see what kind of results come of that. Of course, it takes 10 to 14 days to see if anything will happen. But of course, we do wish Lane Hardy a speedy recovery, especially if he's feeling symptomatic. But he was at that sheriff's event. We're going to see if that causes any problems going into the future. Harvest Manor here in Denham Springs hosted a Father's Day parade over the weekend, trying to find ways to get these elderly folks interacting with their families. So they invited those families who have fathers there to come and parade in front and, wave to their dads and make signs for them and that kind of thing. Mr. David Gray covered that. It was a very emotional event. There's also a photo gallery to go with it. You can check it out at www.livingstonparishnews.com/coronavirus. One last time with your coronavirus statistics before we let you go. 50,239 cases, 3,004 deaths, 39,792 recoveries, 618,000 tests have been performed, so that number just keeps on ratcheting up. 630 have been hospitalized on 77 ventilators. Please remember to wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds or more. Disinfect common surfaces at home and at your office. Wear a mask in public if at all possible. Don't touch your face. Control your cough and your sneezing with an elbow or a tissue. 6 feet or more of distance between yourself and others. 25 or less to a gathering. Stay home if you're sick. And utilize telehealth to get in touch with your doctor. And stay home to work if at all possible. Talking about traffic this morning, it is representative of the weather, which is still kind of beautiful out there. It's flowing this morning. Only minor delays at 4H Club Road, River Road, and 190, as well as minor delays on those on-ramps. A few little backups at 190 and Range, as well as 190 and Jubin, but not too bad. Going to be an easy commute this morning, right up until that rain starts. Let's talk about that real quick. It's currently 75 degrees. It is a beautiful morning as of right now. Going to get up to 89 today, 72 your overnight low. You're looking at about 40% chance of rain to start between the 8 and 9 a.m. hour. It's only going to grow until, of course, it's going to start raining. 70% chance of rain as of 1 p.m. It's going to be some major thunderstorms this afternoon. Highly recommend that you grab that poncho or an umbrella before you leave for work this morning. One last time, my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys joining us this morning for the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. Wish we could have been talking about Phase 3, but we will remain in Phase 2 again for 28 days. Want to remind folks that we are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We are once a week in print on Thursdays at $7 a month. We are also online, as we've discussed. We have a podcast page that has audio and video versions of the show, as well as our long-form shows that we do with interviewees. You can check those out there. It is free. We also have a coronavirus page, which is free. Also, our legislative coverage this year is free. Please remember the legislature's only got a week from today to get that budget out, as well as any bills passed or at least sent to the governor before that midnight deadline next Tuesday. Hope you have a great day. Please try to stay dry, and please try to be careful on your way home, especially in the nasty rain. And we will see you